What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? So, in today's video, we are going to be reacting to Colin Cowherds' biggest NBA bubble takeaways that came out the other day. And yes, we are reacting to another Colin Cowherd video, but you guys seem to enjoy that. Like, go on the channel, go look at the last Colin Cowherd videos. You guys drop a lot of likes on it. You guys are in the comments. You guys really enjoy this, so I'm going to give the people what they want. And I think it's pretty fun, too, because he's going to talk about some stuff that I wouldn't have thought about sitting here doing a 10-minute video on, and we get to just counteract to what he says, either agree, disagree, play devil's advocate, and I think it's pretty interesting, because I do kind of like his thought process. He does make stuff interesting. Yes, I disagree with some of the stuff he says, but some of the stuff I do also agree with. It's not like I'm just hating on him for 20 minutes long. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Remember, Joy and I talked about this a lot. I thought they should have just gone right into the playoffs. I mean, to me, we got a pandemic. Fewer games, fewer tests. Let's get in, boom, let's get out, crown a champ, and go home.
Honestly, I thought the same thing. I was like, maybe do a couple scrimmage games, get everybody loose, and then get right into the playoffs. Now, I do think it would have been kind of hectic because these players haven't played in actual games in 3 to 4 months, so you never know, a 1 seed could have lost to an 8 seed. But hey, I think that would have been fun and more entertaining. Play like 4 or 5 preseason playoff games, but I guess they're playing 9. But they did some scrimmages before, but I kind of agree. I thought they should have went right into the playoffs, kind of like how the NHL did it. So let's get into this.
But the NBA said, listen, you can't have these guys off 4 months, have them come into playoff intensity. So we're going to have some warm-up games.
What I said, basically.
And I think to myself, yeah, I get it. All right, that makes sense. Let's have some more.
It's like what I just said. That's funny.
They kind of rigged this thing in the NBA so somebody could sneak in like a New Orleans or, a Portland. So for that, I think they've done a pretty good job. But here's my takeaway in this whole bubble. I got 3 big takeaways because I've watched almost every team play. Many of the good teams play 3 or 4 times. My first takeaway. The Clippers and the Milwaukee Bucks do not care. They're number 1 seeds. Those coaching staffs, those rosters, and those front offices, they don't care. I've watched Milwaukee get beat by the Nets. I've watched the Clippers get beat by the Nets and the Suns.
I do agree part of the Clippers. I mean, they definitely cared in that Lakers game because it was obviously Lakers versus Clippers. But I see what he means. Like the Nets, they took out Giannis, or excuse me, the Bucks took out Giannis at halftime against the Nets. And I do agree if the Bucks are going to be the 1 seed. Why care too much? Like you just want to get everybody loose, ready for playoff time. They're going to beat the Nets or the Magic. I think they're going to face the Magic in round 1. They're going to beat the Magic. So it's not like they need to go balls to the wall and somebody gets hurt and risk that. So I do see that. The Clippers, I believe they're going to end up as the 2 seed. At this current moment, I'm recording this on the 10th, so at this moment, I think they're going to be the 2 seed, which means they would get Dallas around 1, which is kind of tough, but the Lakers already clinched the 1 seed, so as long as they're the 2 seed, what's there to really try for? And then you can try in the playoffs, obviously, when they take on the Mavericks in round 1. That'll be a very fun matchup. Luka could definitely steal 2 games against the Clippers, in my opinion, and then for the Bucks, I mean, they'll sweep the Magic, but still, you at least want to show that you care. But I do see what he means, and do they have to care? No, not really. Just get loose, get a feel for the game back. Obviously, if you're Giannis and Kawhi, drop your 35, 40 here, and then rest your body, get ready for playoff time, because you want to win a championship this year, and both teams can 100% win it.
They don't care. By the way, that's right on brand for the Clippers, who didn't care during the regular season. I don't take anything of the Bucks. I don't take anything out of the Clippers. I think. And
sorry for pausing it a lot, but the Clippers also had like the Montrezl Harrell went back home for a personal issue. Same with Will. So they've been out with those guys here and there. So they haven't been full strength for the bubble so far.
They should be favored to get to the NBA Finals. I think Milwaukee is excellent defensively, has a brilliant young coach. They've got good enough players to win it, though I'm not picking them. I don't take any.
Mike Budenholzer, not much of a young coach. He coached in San Antonio as an assistant. And then he was in Atlanta. I mean, I guess he's probably been coaching as a head coach less than 20 years, 15 years. But he's definitely coached for probably maybe a decade. I forget how many years he was in Atlanta. But I wouldn't call him a young coach. I wouldn't call him like a Nick Nurse or James Borrego or a Lloyd Pierce.
Anything from the Clippers or Milwaukee. We're playing in a bubble. Home court doesn't matter. All these teams care about is being healthy. So Clippers, Bucks just don't care. My second takeaway is, the Lakers do, they just can't shoot. Sort of a problem in 2020. The Lakers have the worst field goal percentage of any team in the bubble. I'm not joking. They have the worst three-point percentage of any team in the bubble. This is why LeBron James, to me, is the MVP. He is the super glue holding together a lot of odd and past their prime parts. The Lakers can't shoot. And oh, by the way, they're not very good at defending the perimeter as well. To me, this is not a championship team. What it is the world's best basketball player, the world's smartest basketball player, kind of making it work. The great lubricator in the NBA, LeBron, just sort of making it work. But this is not a very good team. I don't want to hear about the number one seed in the West. It mattered to them. It didn't matter to the Clippers. My third
Now, to give the Lakers the benefit of the doubt, like every team here, it's a new setting. How many times have these players played in meaningful games with no fans? They haven't played like this since probably some not meaningful high school games. I don't know. Like, they've been playing in front of 15 to 20,000 fans. LeBron's been doing it for the last 17 years. AD was doing it at Kentucky. Now, like, this is new for everyone. It's different. Like, I could get if they're not shooting. Like, I don't think TJ Warren is going to sustain this hot streak he's on. I don't think the Lakers are really going to be the worst field goal percentage shooting team in the bubble. I think it's just new to everyone. It's going to take some time getting used to, and some teams will take a little bit more. The Lakers weren't a great shooting team to begin with, but yes, Danny Green has been a little bit disappointing, and obviously LeBron, his shooting numbers haven't been great, but it's LeBron and the Lakers. They were great all season long. I'm not going to give up on them after their first couple games in the bubble. Maybe they just can't play in the bubble, and then that's going to be a problem in the playoffs. They just can't get used to the environment they're in. That would be a problem. But before we say that, like, they're not a championship team when they've looked like a championship team throughout the year, let's not say just because of the first 4 games, 5 games, in a completely new setting that these players have never been in before, that they're automatically just thrown out of the championship window. I just think that's a little too premature.
takeaway is I want no part of Portland. I don't. If I'm in the playoffs in the West, I got no interest playing Portland. Damian Lillard is the best shooter. On most nights, the best player in the bubble. They've got 3 7-footers, so they match up with teams like.
I feel like the last 3 videos I've reacted to, he said Damian Lillard is the best shooter in the bubble because Curry's not in it. But also, they just had to beat Philly the other night. Barely beat Philly. Lillard had to drop 50-plus points to a team that didn't have Ben Simmons, and Bede was out in the middle of the game as well. So, we're not saying that they just beat the Bucks or the Lakers. Like, that Philly team was depleted with injuries. The Blazers are good. And I think they could probably put up a better fight than Memphis and San Antonio and Phoenix against the Lakers in round 1. But they're not winning more than 2 games. I'm sorry. As much as I would love to see an 8 seed, a 1 seed, I just don't think this Blazers team could push the Lakers to 7 games. I think it would be a really big stretch if they could push them to 6 games. All right? I think 1 game is probably all the Blazers can do. And that's how it's going to be. Just because the Lakers are a better team. And it's not like saying the Blazers are bad or they don't deserve to be here. They do. They've been playing great in the bubble. Dame has been, like you said, one of the best players in the bubble. And he's shown that he might be the second best pure point guard in the league, depending what positions you count, Luka and LeBron. And obviously, you might say he's just right behind Curry. But I wouldn't say nobody wants to face them. I mean, nobody wants to probably guard Lillard one-on-one. But the Blazers itself, I don't think that they would beat the Lakers.
Like Milwaukee and Toronto and the Lakers who have size. Gary Trent Jr., who was a nice player at Duke, always a good shooter. Yikes. He looks like Steph Curry. Terry Stotts has been very good for years, very respected. Carmelo Anthony has added harmony and scoring from the wing. Portland,
top 15 all-time in points scored. He might hit the top 10. I think he's 1,000 away from getting into the top 10, which he could definitely do next year if it's a full 82 season.
They are going to be the greatest 8th seed in the history of the NBA. Their backcourt could be a nightmare for the Lakers. Gary Trent's emerged. How about Melo? They've got 3 7-footers. I watched Dame drop 51 yesterday. I swear. You know, if he doesn't go to Weber State, if he doesn't play in Portland, if he went to Duke and played for the Knicks, would we all get how good Damian Lillard is? I mean, I said last week, is everybody watching him when he plays Westbrook? How much better he is than Westbrook? So those are my 3 takeaways so far in the NBA.
Now, I mean, I guess if he played for the Knicks or the Lakers, you'd be like, oh, like he's a lot better than he is. I feel like that's any small market, a big market team. But I don't know if I really think the Weber State, like he went to Weber State, excuse me. That's how it's pronounced. I don't know if he said Weber or Weber. But he went there 9 years ago. I don't think people, when watching Damian Lillard and determine how good he is, care that he went to Duke or he went to Weber State, because Personally, I think he's better than Kyrie Irving. Now, Kyrie Irving's great. I'm just saying he's just slightly better. And Kyrie went to Duke. He went to Weber State. I'm not really discriminating him in NBA rankings based off his college. So that, I don't get that. But I guess the Blazers, yeah, because he's in Portland. And I feel like we do need to give Dame more credit as a top player in the NBA. Especially me, because when he got that big contract for the Blazers, I was like, ooh, that's a lot for somebody that's not a top 10 player in the NBA, because I thought he was a borderline, because I thought at the time Paul George was better, I thought like Jokic and Embiid, and those players might still be better, but I think there is a debate for Damian Lillard being a top 10 player. I think once you have your LeBron, your Steph Curry, your KD, your Harden, your AD, your Kawhi, your Giannis, not in order, those are just the top 7, and then he's in the next tier. He's in your next tier of Paul George, Embiid, Jokic. It's Lillard right there. Kyrie, Russ in that tier. He's definitely there. He's 100% there in that next tier. And you might put him at 8. You might put him in front of Embiid and Jokic and Paul George. And that's perfectly fine by me. I'm not going to say that your list is completely wrong. I just wouldn't put him in the top 7. But right at 8. Fine by me. But yeah, that is going to be for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was basically him talking about his main takeaways. The rest of this video is about the NBA tampering rules, and it's pretty interesting. I'll leave a link to the rest of the video if you want to watch it in the description below. But thank you all for watching. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.